Season 9 of Apex Legends is right around the corner, so if you're a fan of Titanfall, then all signs are pointing to this season tying into Respawn's Sci-Fi universe more than ever. It's important to know how Apex and Titanfall are intertwined to understand what is on the way, so we are going to run you through the timeline from the 2100s all the way to current day in Apex, which is 2735. If you want to stay up to date on the latest and greatest in Apex and Titanfall, then subscribe to our channel and drop a like on this video to let us know you want more. And of course, there is going to be a ton of spoilers in this video, so if you haven't had a chance to finish Titanfall 2, read Pathfinder's Quest, or watch the stories from the Outlands, I would highly recommend that you do that beforehand. In the early 2100s, an asteroid hits Earth and devastates the planet. A new element is discovered from the asteroid's impact that Heinrich Henry Hammond of Hammond Engineering uses to invent interstellar travel. This propels Earth's scientific advancements, allowing humanity to better access its surrounding star systems, which become known as the core systems. Hammond Robotics is still very active to this day throughout Apex Legends, going as far as sponsoring upcoming Legend Forge before he was murdered by Revenant, who was revealed to be the first simulacrum ever, who was also created by Hammond Robotics decades later. There are even rumors that Henry himself could still be alive, according to Rinson Mandalay, a man in Talos claiming to be him at 650 years old. With current day being 2735 in Apex, this would actually line up well with the beginning of the Titanfall story. Over the next few centuries, we see the rise of Hammond Engineering and Hammond Robotics, which later becomes the infamous Interstellar Manufacturing Corporation, but better known as the IMC throughout Titanfall and Apex Legends. The IMC's power grows rapidly with the advancement of interstellar exploration and robotic AI with inventions such as Titans, Spectres, and Marvins. Pathfinder is also a Marvin, but he wouldn't be made until much after the IMC's discovery of the Frontier. The Frontier is a far-off zone in space that's unusually dense with habitable star systems and resources. The planets on the Frontier's outermost edges are known as the Outlands, which we've been learning about more and more thanks to the stories from the Outlands in Apex Legends. But that's not all. The first known successful scan of Simulacrum Revenant was recorded in 2420. Hammond Robotics may have created him, but the Syndicate eventually controlled him. Due to the core system's own depleting resources, the IMC was quick to further explore the frontier and expand colonization. However, as time went on, the IMC's resources were split between the core systems and the frontier, which caused the IMC to struggle to maintain corporate power in the core systems and made them completely withdraw their resources from the frontier to reinforce their hold back home. Anyone left on the frontier was completely abandoned by the IMC. The IMC eventually regained control of the core systems with the help of the first Titans created for battle. However, that would leave the core systems exhausted and desperate for resources, so they decided to return to the frontier. Despite being cut off from the IMC, those left in the frontier had been thriving and advancing on their own for generations. The IMC immediately returned to reclaim the frontier, begin manufacturing, and displace the frontier's existing residents, sparking the beginnings of another war. In 2640, billionaire humanitarian Lillian Peck built Olympus, a city in the sky of Samathi, which is a high-class planet in the Outlands. Lillian Peck discovered an imminent energy crisis that threatened all of the Outlands that many people didn't believe despite the science behind it. With the help of astrophysicist Dr. Mary Summers, aka Horizon, and the funding from companies such as the IMC, Hammond, and Chevrex Inc., Branthium is discovered and is the key to ending the energy crisis. Side note, Chevrex Inc. is owned by Lifeline's family. However, when retrieving the Branthium, Horizon is betrayed by her assistant, Dr. Ashley Reed, and launched into a black hole and left for dead for more than 80 years. Over 15 years after the betrayal, the energy crisis of 55 is averted thanks to a group of scientists who consisted of many relatives to our favorite legends, such as Gibraltar's grandfather Aleki, Watson's grandmother Amelia, and Horizon's own son Newton. The backstabbing Dr. Ashley Reed was also among this legendary group. As a part of their plan to fix the approaching energy crisis, the scientists created a specialized Marvin, our favorite robotic pal Pathfinder, to save the Outlands. However, Reed betrayed her allies to claim the Branthium for a mysterious employer, leaving her fellow scientists to fight for their lives in order to protect it. The scientists were able to get the Branthium to the people against all odds, but everyone is said to have died from this event, leaving a permanent rift on Olympus. The details were largely hidden from the public, which had some people believing the event and the crisis itself never really happened. And to present day, Branthium is still only owned by the extremely wealthy. The Titan Wars began as the return of the IMC to the frontier led to the uprising of the Frontier Militia, who fought against the IMC with stolen Titans and gear, but they weren't strong enough to complete their mission and had to retreat for a chance to fight another day. The IMC was able to claim Gridiron as the official center of IMC operations and established the first ever Hammond Robotics Titan factory. Gridiron's location made planet Demeter a crucial stop between the core systems and the frontier and would serve as the gateway of travel for the IMC. Gridiron would also become the home of Bangalore, as she is a former IMC soldier from a lineage of IMC soldiers. Bangalore only has one brother who didn't become a soldier. He instead became an IMC scientist stationed on Typhon. Typhon is also the home of Renee Hope Blasey, who we know better as Wraith, although eventually she does end up on Solace. The 2700s is where Apex Legends and Titanfall 2 start to collide more than ever. The militia managed to win the crucial battle of Demeter that left the IMC without their resources and gateway to the core systems. Over the next 5 years, and cut off from their reinforcements, the Ares division within the IMC, led by General Martyr, discovered the fold weapon on Typhon and planned to use it to wipe out the militia. During this time, Wraith would actually become a scientist within the Ares division, but ended up being the subject of experiments that wiped her memory, although the effect and cause level of Titanfall 2 gives us a glimpse behind some of Wraith's abilities and strengthens the connection between both games. As the fold weapon is nearing completion, General Martyr is contracted to an elite group of mercenary pilots known as the Apex Predators, who are led by Kuben Blisk, to help secure and deliver the arc power source to the weapon. This is the same Kuben Blisk that is the current commissioner of the Apex games. Once the militia catches wind of this plan, they send out their forces to Typhon to stop them. Among the first wave is Rifleman Jack Cooper, who witnesses the brutal death of Captain Lastimosa at the hands of Blisk. Being the only one to do so, Cooper inherits Lastimosa's mission to stop the IMC and also his Titan, BT-7274. Throughout the mission, Cooper and BT fight and defeat all of the Apex Predators except for Blisk. Among those Apex Predators that are notable to our timeline today are going to be Ash and Viper. Somehow, Dr. Ashley Reed was saved from the event back on Olympus. Kind of. Now going by the name Ash, this deadly predator was no longer human but a simulacrum-like revenant, and is defeated yet again after pitting Cooper up against a deadly simulation of her own. But if we learned anything from Revenant, simulacrums tend to pop up sooner or later. She was eventually remade by Vincent Dynamics, and at some point, Blisk dismantles her and throws her parts through a portal to another dimension, which the Legends ultimately find in Season 5's quest, The Broken Ghost. In the following season, Ash was found by Pathfinder with her memory wiped. It's later revealed she's still working with Blisk, and an old friend, presumably Horizon, is back, and Ash leaves Pathfinder behind. Horizon returns the following season, having finally escaped the black hole that Reed trapped her in years prior. And as Season 9 closes in, Ash has once again popped her head back into the fray by giving us a special invitation to an upcoming arena. Viper, on the other hand, was definitely human, but put up a tough fight to stop the militia from getting closer to the fold weapon. His North Star Titan's missiles and superior flying ability look to be too powerful, but Jack Cooper is able to stop him with the help of the 6-4, who are somewhat the counterparts of the Apex Predators. Among the group of pilots in the 6-4 is Droz, Mirage's uncle. Viper was eventually taken down by Cooper and BT, and although he was a deadly threat, he also had a family. In the newest story from the Outlands, Viper's daughter Kyrie is revealed and is the Legacy Season's debut legend, who goes by the calling card of Valkyrie. Out of vengeance for her father, and after attempting to kill Blisk, Valkyrie ends up getting a Blisk card to the Apex games and Rampart's assistance to build a specialized VTOL jetpack from her father's North Star Titan. It should be pretty interesting to see how Viper and Mirage are going to interact with each other in the future. With Viper out of the way, Cooper and BT eventually take down Blisk's last remaining predator and make it to the fold weapon. By now, Blisk's contract was completed, and the power source was delivered, so he didn't feel the need to end Cooper's life, despite General Marder's pleas to do so. Instead, Blisk tossed him a card to join the Apex Predators and bounced. When the Frontiers Gladiator Thunderdome matches stopped, Blisk would later revitalize them as a fully fledged battle royale called the Apex Games. The only way into the games, if you didn't get this special Blisk card, is to pass the qualifiers like Bangalore or Gibraltar, or be sponsored like Forge or Fuse, unless you're crypto, of course. This obviously raises the question of if and when we're gonna see Cooper in the Apex Games. Thanks to BT's noble sacrifice, the weapon was stopped at the cost of Typhon, including Bangalore scientist's brother who was stationed on the planet at the time. Eventually, militia forces stormed Gridiron, where Bangalore and her brother's battalion made a last-ditch effort to run away by stealing an arc shard from their IMC labs on Gridiron. Although Bangalore wanted to use it to blast the militia away, the battalion successfully escaped and ended up catapulting themselves to the Outlands. A trip that would normally take 20 years only took them 1. Shortly after this chaotic event, a massive communications blackout would disconnect the Outlands from the frontier, and Bangalore would lose another brother to a freak accident over Solus, where he was ejected from the ship after it was hit by a mysterious explosion. Civil war among the Outlands broke out until the Syndicate Treaty was signed in 2723. Salvo is the most recent planet to join the Syndicate space after originally denying it in the past, but the desire to compete in the Apex Games made Fuse push Salvo to join the treaty. The Apex Games were a spiritual successor to the popular Thunderdome Bloodsport held by the now defunct IMC and officially opened around 2728. Blisk's role in both Titanfall 2 and Apex Legends is one of the biggest connections between the two titles, as he is the source of many things, even outside of the Apex Games. Blisk also has deep ties to the Syndicate, who's been looming in the shadows for centuries, and you can't forget that he's an extremely deadly Apex Predator. From what we've seen so far, a lot of loose ends from Blisk's past are looping back around with each passing season, which is bringing us even closer to Titanfall lore. Season 9 is reaching right into the Titanfall 2 bucket by reintroducing Viper through Valkyrie's backstory, along with even more antics from Ash, who we just can't seem to get rid of. After seeing the two timelines and how they work together, it's clear more than ever that this universe is about to expand. I know many are patiently waiting on Titanfall 3, but in my opinion, the more the universe grows through Apex Legends, the more impact another Titanfall will have. So what do you guys think of how Apex Legends is tying into the Titanfall universe? Is there anything you want to see come to Apex from Titanfall 2? Go ahead and let me know down below, and of course, stay tuned to the channel because we are going to have so much Apex goodness as Season 9 approaches. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.